Hello, Leo, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of January 25th through the 31st. And during that time, we do have a first quarter moon that comes in on the 26th. And a first quarter can feel a little bit like a mini full moon. You might feel a little impulsive, impatient. Maybe your mind is active. It's just, you get a little frustrated. It's hard to settle down and get anything done and concentrate. So keep that in mind. We then move into the waxing gibbous energy. And of course, that's a little calmer. That allows for a deeper understanding and outlook, and also gives us the ability to act on our intuition and our introspection. So it's a good time to be flexible and just kind of buckle down and get some things done. So that will be for the rest of the week. Keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Leo. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this particular reading is luck is on your side. All right, let's see what the Leo Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. Sometimes we don't recognize the patterns that are evolving in our life, and just jotting those down in a spiritual journal can make all the difference. It has for me, so that's why I recommend it to you. It's just a really interesting thing to be able to look back on, different emerging patterns that sometimes we don't see when we're in them. This could be jotting down synchronicities or a dream, different encounters that you may have. I know sometimes dreams don't make sense. Like, the day you wake up that morning and you have some crazy dream with, what seems to be a lot of just symbols, and it doesn't make a lot of sense all the time. Sometimes I can make sense, but writing those down, sometimes I've come back even a year later and been like, oh, that dream was trying, you can see where your life is played out in a particular way and how the dream was trying to give you a little heads up. And it was just that you weren't able to read the symbols. So kind of helps you learn how your own dream system works. But anyway, keeping a spiritual journal is really good for that. And I will stop babbling about it. But that's just my fun weekly reminder this week, Leo. All right, let's get into this reading. January 25th through the 31st. Luck is on your side. Let's see what the Leo Collective has going on. Your present energy is the Hierophant. So, this luck for you may come in the form of guidance. Sometimes this is spiritual guidance. It can be otherwise, but it's definitely an authority figure and something that maybe you are learning in the spiritual realm and jotting down in your journal, right? It could be why you're at a tarot reading right now, that you're just kind of seeking some sort of guidance, and what maybe you should be concentrating on right now. That you're looking around, maybe things are going well. Excuse me, let me grab a drink. Things are going well for you in all the other realms, or you've had some sort of awakening come in. There's some reason why you're like, I may need to seek out some guidance on this one. So this could be anything, again, from a tarot reading. This could be going to church, really paying attention to the sermons if you're a regular churchgoer. This could be opening up your Bible or a spiritual book of some sort. But it's kind of seeking out guidance, like you've maybe had some new understanding come in and you just want to know where to go with it exactly. Your current situation right now is that you're feeling a little bit stuck here with the Eight of Swords. But remember, this is a card of feeling stuck, but it's also an inspirational card of just knowing that there's nothing that you can't think your way out of. We do kind of have to ask ourselves, how did I get here? And then sometimes that unlocks the answer of how do I get out of here? So just remember that seems like a card that should be about being frustrated and being stuck, but it really is a card about getting out of a situation that you do feel stuck in. At the root of your situation this week is another eight. So I like when I start to see recurring numbers, but Eight of Wands here, which means things are coming in rapidly and changing a little bit quickly for you. So this may kind of be pushing you towards this decision of feeling like you have to make a move to get out of something that you feel stuck in. And again, it could be why you are seeking out some sort of guidance from it. In your recent past is the Hermit card. So, maybe there's been some wisdom that you've come to. You might have had a period here where you've been kind of quiet into yourself and doing some inner searching, And of course, that just leads to kind of understanding about how you want to move forward. I always talk about how the hermit is only lighting, maybe his next step or two. It's not looking weeks and months out. It's really just what is my next step. And if your next step is to get unstuck, then, there you go. It's kind of making sense here on this reading. What is on your mind this week, Leo, is the Nine of Swords. So, some anxiety about it, and maybe just some, you know, if you've come to some realization, of course, it's a little bit nerve wracking to think, I've got to get out of the situation. Things are happening quickly. And that, again, this might be why you're seeking this guidance, but, don't let things keep you up at night. You have to just, find ways to quell anxiety. When something's really on your mind, a lot of times taking pen to paper is a good way to do it. When you're trying to make decisions, you need to make a pro list and a con list, and, try to move the thinking from the anxious part of it where you're nervous about or it's worrying you to really just some sort of action, which kind of just alleviates a little bit of that worry, right? So, and like I said, even just writing it down, sometimes talking to a friend, just kind of looking at the situation from either a fresh perspective or taking some sort of just initial action. Like, I'm going to do this one thing just so that you can get some sleep at night and it's not causing you those anxious, worryful, sleeps at night. What is just ahead of you this week is the Page of Swords. So this could just be a new way for you to communicate. This could be that, normally you're not, let's say this is about speaking up somewhere. Although I don't see this in a Leo situation. Leos really have no problem speaking up and speaking their mind, do they? Uh, some form of communication that maybe is new to you. Again, I don't think speaking up is really an issue for you. If it is, I'm just going to use that as an example that maybe that's the new thing that you do is you speak up more. You don't just let things kind of ride along until you feel stuck, but or speak up earlier. Maybe that's the thing too that all of us could work on, is that sometimes you feel a thing starting to go off the rails a little bit, and you should say something and you're like, I'm just going to let it ride for a minute. And then it does kind of go crazy. Maybe speaking up earlier is something that you do need to learn as a new skill. In your advice position here is the Knight of Pentacles. So, some kind of action here on the material front. This could be, some new path for you when it comes to money or job. This could just be just some new development, something that comes out. Maybe you're moving to a different place at the place where your place of employment, that you're moving up or moving sideways, just moving. It's like it could be just a shift in something. It also could just be a shift in your actual material world, that you may just rearrange some furniture, just kind of change the flow of energy through your house. But it is some kind of new path of something in the material, tangible front, right? What is beyond your control this week is the Nine of Wands here. So again, lots of repeats. We've got 2 8s and now 2 9s on the table. And this is really about looking back and making an evaluation. So, with all of this that's going on, you may be looking back and thinking, where did I go wrong? Did I not speak up soon enough? And then things went crazy. When should I have said something? If I'm feeling stuck, but you are kind of looking back and doing that evaluation. That's also kind of a hermit card as well, too. The hermit makes those evaluations and then really comes to a decision. But make sure that, again, that you're taking some sort of action just to alleviate some of that anxiety. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid, is the 10 of Swords. So look at all these swords here. We've got the 8, 9, and 10, to where I think you do, are you trying to avoid kind of bringing something to an end, or is it your secret desire to do so? If you are feeling stuck in something, it may be time where you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. And maybe I should have spoken up earlier, but I need a change of pace in how I do this. And I've been looking back and thinking about it, for a while now. Even in your recent past, you've been doing that, and I think I'm just done. So that could be making a big change for you this week. In your outcome position is the Four of Pentacles, which is about your financial stability and just your stability in general. And it could be that you're making this decision based on your financial stability, that you need something that is going to, bring in more money. Maybe the thing that you're talking about, it could be your job, that you're just like, I just need to make more money. It's not doing it for me. So I need to move, but I've taken this time to evaluate. I mean, I think you've really taken a look at whatever the situation is for you. You've taken a look at it and you're thinking, Yeah, it's time for a change. So, and I will say too, I want you to look up angel number 9. I forgot this hermit is a 9 too. So 999, and then also 88. Look up those angel numbers, see if those mean anything to you. Again, your overall message here was that luck is on your side. So something may happen this week that just is like, it's just destined to be. It seems like a luck thing because it just kind of changes things. It might just be the smallest little thing, but it is lucky and it does seem to change things for you. What is hidden from you this week is the Sun card. So, yeah, you're not at your happiest this week while you're thinking about this and thinking about making these changes and, um, just having these thoughts and trying to work all through this looks like in your own mind. Again, reach out to someone and talk to someone, put pen to paper, write something down about it. That might quell some of the anxiety, but it looks like this is about overall your stability and your financial stability. It may just be a situation where you're like, look, I need to bring more coin in. And whatever the situation, this job that I'm in or the situation that I'm in is not doing that. And I need it to do that. So it could just be that simple. What I don't see on the table at all are any cups. So, you may be not super emotional about any of this. It may not even come into play with your emotions. It's more about passion and logic and actual cold hard facts about money or material things. So, all right, let's get a final look here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message from the Soul Oracle deck for Leo. Final words for Leo, January 25th through the 31st. And the card that comes out here for is Accept What Is. And I would say with that, sometimes there are just situations that you can't change. They are what they are and you're in it, but that is what it is. It's not like you can, sometimes you do just need to accept what is, and you're deciding about your participation in it is really what matters. It is what it is. Do you want to participate? All right, let's take a look at the self-care wisdom cards for Leo, January 25th through the 31st. What does Leo need to do in the way of self-care for this week? And the card that comes up for you is the card called Shine. Don't dim your light. The world needs your unique talents and gifts. Shine brightly. So if you're engaged in something here that you do feel like is not having you live up to the best of your ability. I mean, shine and look, the sun card is hidden from you. Are you shining in the way, with your talents and abilities that you need to be? And if not, sometimes you do have to make a change and you have to just make that decision, where it could be about monetary things and material things also, but sometimes it is, when you're in line and you're doing the thing that you do shine at and the thing that you're really talented at and doing, the money does flow and the money does come after. So Leo, thank you so much for being here. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your week in a positive way this week. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below. Let me know if there's something here that resonated with you or something that you're going through, or if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those also. And if you like my reading style, if you hit that like and subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. It helps me so much, and I appreciate that. Most importantly, it'll help you find me next week, where you can come back and we can see if this energy continues or if there's a completely new story here that happens for you next week, Leo. So thank you so much for being here once again, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.